Today we're talking about this amazing tiny lens from Leica. So today we're talking about this Leica 35mm f3.5 Leitz Summaron. The Summaron is a 6-element symmetrical Gauss designed lens. So this is very tiny. Like I said, its maximum aperture is 3.5, has a minimum aperture of f22. Minimum focusing distance is about 1 meter. Just a tiny little lens. And these were made for fitting on Leica screw mount cameras. Now, the camera I use it on is actually not a Leica, but a Canon. Canon made copies of Leica screw mount cameras, and this is a 1956 Canon L2, and I use this because the L2 has 35mm viewfinder setting, and so just a nice little lever wind, just got a decent viewfinder, just a great little camera. Today what I'm actually going to be using this lens on is an Olympus EP2. Now I use an adapter made by Photocy that allows me to adapt this to an Olympus camera. I can take my EP5, take its lens off, and mount this right on here, just like that. And now this lens is ready to use on this. Now the Summaron, like I said, this one was made in 1953. They made these from 1946 to 1960. They made about 80,000 of them, so they're relatively common. I got this lens off an aircraft gun camera, and I have a video about that. I can put a link in the description down below, but I paid just an amazing $60 for this lens. Now, it was a little hazy inside and I had to clean it, and that's one of the things you want to watch if you find one of these old Summarons. Shine a bright light through it and look through it with a bright light, you know, coming through it, and make sure it's not hazy. If it's hazy, it's going to need to be cleaned, and you want to take that into account when you're buying it. So these lenses are pretty lightweight. It's 5.1 ounces, but they're solid brass, you know, chrome plated brass and steel and glass, and there's no plastic in here at all. But they have just an amazing image quality, very sharp in the center, not quite as sharp at the edges. The later 35mm f2.8 Summaron and the 35mm f2 Summacron are much sharper at the edges, but a lot more expensive. So this lens you can get reasonably priced, like I said, around $300 or $400. Sometimes you can find better deals on them, like I did. But they, for a Leica lens, they do quite well. Now, one of the cool things is when you put this on a Micro Four Thirds camera or even an APS-C camera, you're not using the edges of the frame, then you don't really have to worry about that loss of edge sharpness because you're not using it. And so this works really great on this. Now, this is being 35mm. In the equivalent on a full frame camera would be like a 70mm lens. So it's a kind of a slightly long normal or short telephoto, but it's actually a very usable focal length. And so today I'm going to take it out and shoot some pictures with it, and I'll show you those pictures plus some pictures that I've taken in the past, and let you take a look at those. It's really just an amazing lens. When I shoot film cameras with this, I generally just shoot black and white film, so I kind of opted not to do that today because I wanted you to see the color fidelity of this lens. This lens just produces really beautiful colors, and it's a little bit lower in contrast than you might get with a more modern lens, but it's still just a beautiful lens, image quality wise. So I've got a little lens hood that mounts on the front of it. This uses what's called A36 lens accessories, so any filters or lens hood you put on this actually clamps on the outside of it. It's 36mm, it's called A36. So we've got a little lens hood that'll help with contrast. I'm going to get out and take a few pictures, and then we'll take a look at those. So I've been out taking pictures with this 35mm Leitz Summaron on my Olympus EP5 and decided to take a little side trip and go to Kogar, Oklahoma, where part of the movie Rain Man was filmed. It was the phone booth scene. So I'm going to take some pictures here. I'll show you the what the location looks like, and we'll get some pictures here too. So this is the location of the where the part of the movie Rain Man was filmed. It's the phone booth scene with Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise. So I'm going to take some pictures here, and just wanted to put a little clip in here to kind of explain why some of the pictures went to a different location. Well, I hope you enjoyed the pictures from this. It's just an amazing lens. If you have a chance to get a hold of one of these Summaron lenses, the 35mm f3.5, I highly recommend it. And whether you're shooting it on crop sensor, on full frame, it's going to just give you fantastic images. And it gives you a chance to create images that have more of a film look. When you're using these vintage lenses, they have a little bit less contrast. They have just a different look than today's modern lenses. And so if you're trying to create that film look, the best way to do it is with a vintage lens like this. So if you ever have a chance to shoot a Leica lens, adapted to your camera, it's really worth doing. They're just amazing. And this is probably one of the most affordable Leica lenses you can run across. Most Leica lenses can get pretty pricey. Anyway, hope you enjoyed those images. If you have any thoughts or questions, please don't hesitate to leave me a comment. If you would, please click on the like and subscribe buttons. And as always, thanks for watching.